In this video, we will discuss adding and subtracting like terms. But before we can get into the addition and subtraction, we must know what makes two terms like terms. In order for two terms to be considered like terms, they must share the same variable or letter, and they must also share the same power or exponent. So let's take a look at some examples. I have x and 2x. I see that they have the same variable of x and the same power of 1. So they would be considered like terms. How about x squared and 2x? They have the same variable of x, but they have different powers. This has a power of 2 and this has a power of 1. So these would not be considered like terms. And how about 2x squared and 3y squared? They both have the same power of 2, but they have a different variable. This has a variable x, and this has a variable of y. So these also would not be like terms. So let's get into the adding and the subtracting. We're first going to add x plus 2x. I must confirm first that they are like terms. They both have the same variable of x, and they both have the same power of 1. When you add and subtract, you do not change your variable, and you do not change your power. They always remain the same. The only thing that's going to change is your coefficient. Here I have a coefficient of 2. Here there's no coefficient written, but we know when there's nothing written there, that means we have a coefficient of 1. So 1 plus 2 gives us 3. And once again, the variable and the power stay the same. So x plus 2x equals 3x. If you have a difficult time dealing with the coefficients, you can go about adding this a different way. You had an x there, and you know you have 2 x's here. And you can just draw out the total number and add them. So x and x and x gives us 3x. This tool is very helpful, but it can be difficult to use when you're dealing with very large coefficients. You do not want to have to write out 50 coefficients at one time. All right, let's look at another example. The same thing is going to apply when we're talking about the subtraction. So if I have 5x minus 3x, once again, I'm going to determine if they're like terms. I have a variable of x and a variable of x, and they both have a power of 2. So I'm going to subtract my coefficients only. My variable and my power will not change. So 5 minus 3 is 2. So 5x minus 3x is 2x. Let's look at one more example where we have more than one term. So here I have 3x plus 4x squared plus 2x squared. The best way to work these problems when there's more than one term or more than two terms, you want to work from left to right. I see that I have a 3x, and I want to see if there are any other like terms. So working from left to right, I see that there's a 4x squared and a 2x squared. These terms also have a variable of x, but they have a different power, which means there is no other like term for the 3x. Because there's no other like term, it will remain as 3x in my answer. Once I've used a term, I like to cross it out so that I don't accidentally use it and combine it again. Now, I'm still going to work from left to right. I see here I have a 4x squared. I also have an x squared here. Same variable, same power. So these are like terms, and I can add them. So 4 plus 2 is 6. My x doesn't change. My power of 2 doesn't change. And so my final answer here is 3x plus 6x squared. I cannot go any further with this because these have different terms. The variable is the same, but the power is different. So once again, in order for two terms to be like terms, they must carry both the same variable and the same power. Both must apply. If they are like terms, I can proceed with my addition and my subtraction. I do not change my variable and I do not change my power. I only add or subtract my coefficients. If there is more than two terms, you want to work from left to right, checking for other like terms and crossing out those terms as you go along so that you don't accidentally use them and combine them again. And that is the basics of adding and subtracting like terms.